Contrast bath therapy is a form of treatment where a part or the whole body is immersed in hot but not boiling water, followed by immediate immersion of the part or the whole body in cold icy water. This process is repeated several times, alternately hot and cold. The theory behind contrast bath therapy is that the hot water causes vasodilation of the blood flow in the tissue, followed by the cold water which causes vasoconstriction, increasing local blood circulation. Additionally, the lymph vessels contract when exposed to cold and relax in response to heat. The lymph system, unlike the circulatory system, lacks a central pump. By alternating hot and cold, lymph vessels dilate and contract to essentially pump and move stagnant fluid out of the injured area, and this positively affects the inflammation process, which is the body's primary mechanism for healing damaged tissue. Showering with hot and cold showers is extremely good, but the contrast bath is even better. Here are just a few of the benefits of contrast bath over contrast showering. First, water contains chlorine and other ingredients, and when we shower, especially with hot water, it dries our skin. I shower at least twice a day, and the shower water removes the protective oils from my skin. However, there is no water flow in a contrast bath, and the skin suffers less flushing. Second, when we shower, inflamed joints and spinal column are exposed to gravity. They are under the weight of the body, while in the bath the body floats in water and the joints and spinal discs can be separated. The effect of hot and cold temperature reaches deeper into interior of the inflamed areas. Third, a hot-cold bath can last much longer because the hot water doesn't drain as it does when showering. Fourth, when doing a hot-cold bath, the body is in a more comfortable position than when we're showering. If we have a knee problem, we can just immerse our leg up to thigh in water. If it's a back problem, we can just immerse the torso in the water like I do here. This body posture decompresses the spinal discs and treats the trunk only. As the legs, arms, and the head remain out of water, then the body temperature doesn't drop rapidly so that the back can remain longer in the water. Fifth, we can add sea salt, essential oils, or anything else that we think benefits health. These were some of the reasons I found the contrast bath to be advantageous over the contrast shower. Of course, a contrast shower has some advantages over a contrast bath, but we'll talk about it in another video. It is the best for me to have both options available. I have noticed that contrast therapy helps me a lot with my inflammatory process anywhere in the body. I had 2 spinal injuries and this is slowly healing. One of the methods that helps me heal my whole body is certainly contrast therapy. I've been showering hot and cold for a few years now, and switching to hot and cold bath wasn't a big deal to me. We need to be careful about using a hot-cold bath. We should first get used to showering with hot and cold water, and when we feel comfortable about it, then only gradually start with a hot-cold bath. At first, the water should not be too hot and not too cold. We should not feel cold or too warm before starting therapy. Good body temperature is when we lie in bed under the blanket in the morning. Our body is warm inside and our heart rate and blood pressure are normal. When in this condition we begin to shower with cold water, or enter a cold bath, the internal temperature of the body will remain stable because the body has already been warmed from the inside. I started my first contrast therapy with hot water. That was a mistake. The water was very hot, and after a few minutes my head started to spin. I was worried. I switched into cold bath, and my head started to spin even more. I felt throughout my body, especially in my arms, that the blood flowed with great intensity. I got out of the water immediately and returned to the house, and after a while the dizziness disappeared. Next time I started a contrast bath first in cold water, and everything was fine. Now I start the hot-cold bath by immersing in cold water. After that I go for a hot bath. I repeat about 3 cycles. I end the hot-cold bath with a brief immersion in cold water. We need to be very careful with contrast therapy because it is a shock to the body, and if our body is not gradually accustomed to it, we can have serious consequences and even die. I remember a few years ago I couldn't stand very hot or very cold water at all because my body was toxic due to overeating and wrong diet. If I had contrast therapy then, it might have killed me because my body was very weak. Changing my diet little by little, my blood and lymph became quite clear and my immune system better than ever. Contrast therapy is very helpful in detoxifying and strengthening the immune system. Those who cannot do full body contrast therapy can do partial contrast therapy by treating hot-cold only those parts of the body that you have problems with. It is a very useful therapy, and in some of my next videos I will explain how to perform partial contrast therapy. To get a better picture of contrast therapy, check out our other videos on this subject. Also, if you want to make this hot tub yourself, a link to this video is in the description below. Breathe and be aware that you are breathing.